This is the original sketch I had done a few years back. Now, I'm going to redo the sketch. I actually have two different ideas that come from this character, and I'm going to draw both of them. However, for today, let's work on this girl. Unfortunately, I have actually lost the first part of the footage, which actually show me designing her pose. But that's okay. You guys can actually get an idea of how I draw figures from my previous shorts. And I would actually also be happy if you guys grab some paper, pencil, and if this image inspires you to draw, you guys can always tag me. As you can see, I'm using my light table again today, and I have actually 3 pieces of paper stacked on top of each other. The one is the main idea for how I want her to stand. The other has the flow of which direction I want her hair to go, and I've actually tested a few different ideas. This one came out the best. And the third piece of paper that you can slightly see actually has her sleeves. You'll see that I actually do not finish the second hand, the left hand, because I'm not all that decided how I want the hand to be posed in the final drawing, so I'm going to leave that open for future ideas. And I'm also going to be recreating the backgrounds of those drawings, and then I'll put it all together. I had been tempted to go back through my sketches and grab a few of the old mermaid drawings I've done, but unfortunately I just really wanted to do an elf, and this was the one that caught my attention. And maybe even with this version I can recreate even a mermaid out of that picture too, or at least a water nymph. The pen I'm currently using is the fine tip from Bic. It's a soft tip pen, a felt tip I think they call it. But I absolutely love this pen. I found it only a few weeks ago in the store, just going along the shelves. And I was amazed at how amazing this pen is. I mean, I'm used to using that type of brand for just regular writing, but this really gets the fine detail. And when I go to erase, it's actually able to dry rather quickly, so it doesn't do any real smearing, at least not for me. I always give at least a good 30 seconds though before erasing any inked lines. My other favorite is the Sharpie pen, and again it's a fine tip, and it just does amazing line work for other parts that are meant to be a bolder, thicker outline, such as around the arm, even in the shadowy parts of the hair. I could have actually used this, but because there's so much fine, smaller detail around the braids, I wanted to actually use the big pen, which had proved to be a little bit better and easier to control. Now this sketch, I won't actually be coloring directly onto, because this is going to be the template I use to do the final drawing once I have not only the character the way I like her, but also the background and whatever it is she's actually looking up towards, which is either going to be a Pegasus, a dragon, ball of light. I'm not really sure yet. I mean, those are all ideas still just kind of bouncing around in my mind, but maybe I'll even do a small short as to what I designed to go there, because that's not going to be in this video. You might have noticed how I leave some of the strands fairly open until I go back and go and add the shadow. Well, that is because I want to see how the hair will actually fall and in which direction the locks will lay. Also, the sketch paper I'm using, it seems to absorb a lot of the ink, so I have to go over it a couple times to get really dark, crisp shadows. And it is an off-white paper, so the light table I have it on actually makes it look more like a cream. I should have mentioned earlier that I do have this video sped up to a 5 times speed, which is why I am moving as quick as I am. In reality, I actually took a lot of time deciding which way the shadows would fall. I also meant to mention that if you guys like this video and enjoyed sketching with me, if you guys could subscribe, even mark something in the comments, help the algorithm boost my video, that would be great, because I'm looking to grow my art community and my channel. I've had a few goals in mind for this channel, one of which was to help other artists pick up on tricks and techniques on drawing or painting, especially with so many artists returning to the more traditional ways of doing art. And the other reason is because I want people to look at a painting or drawing and feel inspired to maybe a story that they've been wanting to write or have written. Or maybe they see a painting I've done or landscape I've drawn, and it's just something they can see themselves walking into, just to feel that joy that art can really bring to a person's life. While I'm always working, whether it is a sketch, a painting, or inking, I always end up listening to music. It always helps to inspire what's actually going on in the scene. Take, for example, if I had been listening to Sails North, I might have opted out for a leather corset, maybe even a split skirt. Instead, I was actually listening to the earlier works of Lindsey Sterling and Alan Walker. Their music always inspires me to create something different. Though I wonder what music inspires you guys. You guys can always leave that down in the comments. I'm always looking for new music to listen to. As I'm doing the recording for the voiceover, I'm looking at the sleeve on her right side, and I really want to add some jewels in the same way that I did for the hair, where they're not exactly connected to each other through physical marks, but you get the idea that they are on some kind of a chain. I just had to put that in there so as not to forget whenever I do the final drawing. And I'll also have to think about what the color palette will be for this picture, because I've never actually done this in color. The version of this piece of art that we are recreating was only done in an inking stage and then set aside because I was not happy with the mistakes that I had made at the time. But because the background will be a shoreline or cove of some sort, I want to do something in the orange to blue color range on the softer side. If you look at the sleeve where I'm inking now, you can actually see where I made the mistakes on the elbow and even on the wrist. Sadly, I do ink the one that's on the wrist end without correcting it, but I did correct the elbow. When I do the final sketch of everything together, I will go back and fix that. With the sleeve inked in, I'll go ahead and erase any of the lead that is actually on the top page below the ink. Now here I wanted to put down a few quick ideas I had for the left hand on what it could be doing or holding, like the lamp, a ball of light, or perhaps even reaching out for a dragon or a Pegasus. To reference that idea, I do a quick scribble of a dragon, and trust me, that is a scribble. As I ink the skirt, I'm only inking the actual fabric outline. I'm not going to put in any of the petals or the embroidery I had on the original sketch that you've seen at the beginning of the video. That I can put in on the end result picture that I'm going to do. Right now, I just want to see how the fabric will lay and in what direction it flows. Now, my best reference for that was always the koi fish or a betta fish. To watch betta fish swimming in a tank, when they move, whether it is over an obstacle or just turning, you can see how the fins lay differently in the water. And then I just transferred that idea to fabric because I want this to feel like a very rich, flowy fabric. For the longest time, I tried keeping that shoe you see right there in the middle of the screen where the fabric lifts up just slightly enough that you would be able to see a shoe, but I didn't like the position of it or the direction that it would be facing. And later on, I will actually just encapsulate that with shadow. Right now, I was mainly focused on just doing the first pass, inking the lines so as not to lose any of the detail with the lead in case I were to smear it with my hand. At this point though, you do want to be cautious if you are going to use a Sharpie fine tip pen for your lining because you can actually imprint the ink onto your hand as you're lining and then accidentally stamp the rest of your paper all the way down. I might have done that a time or two. Although if you do that, you can always just go back over it and add in a layer of embroidery or detail of plants, florals. It does tend to hide it a little easier and you can make the lines go whichever way you need them to. Right here I added another sheet of paper because I had realized that my detail for the hair was not complete and I wanted to fill in that other side. But it took me a moment to actually line it up and get it right underneath the actual picture so as to put the ink layer over it. Which you can see just how far off the one side is from the other when I realign the papers. After I fill in the rest of this side of her hair, I'm going to go back in and add some more shadow to the braid and other areas that need it. But besides that, I hope you guys have enjoyed this Draw With Me video, and I look forward to seeing you next time.